Hey folks, this is Jason Good with the Good Life Outdoors. With this whole shelter-in-place coronavirus fun stuff that we're going through right now, I've been looking for things that I've been putting off to do around the house. And one of the things is working on the Jeep. Now this is a 2009 Jeep Unlimited Rubicon. It's got a little over 140,000 miles on it. And it's been a great Jeep. We had it since it's had about 75,000 miles on it. It's always burned a little oil or lost a little oil as it's been driving. That's pretty common for the 3.8 liter engine. But more recently, longer than I should have put it off, it's been dripping oil to ground. And the most common thing for that is the oil pan gasket. So today, I'm going to be changing out the oil pan gasket and showing you how that's done. It's a fairly straightforward process, just unbolting it, doing some cleanup, bolting it back on. I'll run you through how it's done and hope you get something out of it, so follow along. Alright, we've got our Fel-Pro oil pan gasket. Comes with the pins to hold it in place and an oil pickup tube. We'll see if we need that. We've got a little RTV, a new oil pan drain plug, a 10mm socket, a 15mm socket, and some extensions in case we need them. The first thing we have to do is drain the oil out. I'm realizing right now I forgot my gloves. Alright, there's going to be quite a bit of oil left in the bottom of that pan, so I'm going to go ahead and put the drain plug back in there and we'll deal with that extra oil once we get the pan off. So this is just to kind of keep everything in place for the time being. I'm going to go ahead and get that oil filter changed out now. That way it's all ready to go once I get everything back in place. And in case you're wondering, yes, I do use old underwear as shop rags. Don't like have anything go to waste, even underwear. Work pretty well. Clean everything up. Put the new oil filter back on there. Clean this up and put the new one back on. And yes, I just took off a Mopar filter and replaced it with a Motorcraft. Actually had really good luck with these Motorcraft filters. You know, the Mopar ones are great, but didn't have that one available, so Motorcraft was my next choice. They do really well. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove the dipstick just to get it out of the way and make sure we're not damaging it. So I'm just going to lay it right here across the engine. We'll come back to that later. So to get started with the oil pan, I need to start with this dust cover on the transmission. You can see there's 3 bolts going up vertically and 4 bolts coming around horizontally. And I need to remove all of those. These are 15mm bolts. So I'm going to start with that. Clean some of this oil off here first, just to make this a little nicer workplace. Start by loosening these up. These are only in there 40 foot-pounds they're supposed to be, so they should come off fairly easily. Let's start with taking out the vertical or the horizontal ones first. Fairly long bolts. Take a little while to get out. Some sort of moisture caught up in here. Hopefully just water, and hopefully not indicative of another problem. Alrighty, now we'll work on these vertical bolts and get these out. I'll leave the center one for last, and hopefully that'll keep it in place while I get my hand on it and lower it down. So. And there we go. That's kind of gross. So as you can see, this thing is nasty, full of all sorts of dirt and oil. I'll get that cleaned up before we put it back on. Alright, with the dust shield out of the way, now we can get up to the oil pan bolts. These are 10 millimeter. I believe there's about 16 of them. And we'll start working on loosening those and getting those to where I can drop the pan. And that is why we wear safety glasses. Avoid getting hit in the eye by a falling bolt. And all the other crud that's coming out from underneath here. And back it goes. And there it is, all out. Alright, I'm going to use an old chisel here to kind of come in here and scrape off the old gasket. Now this is all going to need some cleaning up. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing off of here, get this RTV off, and work on cleaning that up. Had to get everything cleaned off, and that took some time, so didn't get all that on camera. But I cleaned up pretty good. There's still some stuff down in the corners I wasn't able to get, but for the most part, got it cleaned up enough for me. I'm gonna wipe everything down and then put it back on. This also gave me a good opportunity to go through the inside of the oil pan, make sure that there weren't any kind of chunks or metal shavings or things that shouldn't be in there. It was actually pretty clean in there, other than some of the dirt and stuff that I think knocked off when I took the oil pan off, but it looks pretty good in there, fairly clean. I'm pleased with it. Okay, so we have to put RTV in these corners right here and at this seam right here. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that on camera, but those are the places. Here, 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 and here that I'm going to have to put that RTV. A good bead of RTV on all these little seams here. Doesn't have to be a lot, just has to be enough to kind of cover it. Alright. This gasket comes with these little pins here that'll hold it in place. You're just going to screw them into some of the holes for the screws, so they can hold the gasket in place while you're trying to get everything lined up, which is kind of neat. Screw these into a few of the holes, and we'll put the gasket in place. Alright, now I'm going to put the gasket carefully in place here. I'm going to slide it over the little holders here. Carefully, carefully. Push that into place. Make contact with that RTV. Get that seal started. And then we'll get our oil pan ready to go. Just as carefully as I put the gasket on, I'm going to move the oil pan in place. Go. Worked out pretty well. Some screws in here to hold it up. All right, now let's start tightening them down. I'm just going to get them down to just barely tight, and then we'll go back in with a torque wrench. Alrighty, I've got the oil pan screws all put back in, torqued down to spec. Now it's time to put the dust cover back on. just going to barely put each one of these in, make sure that they fit the way they're supposed to before I start cranking them down. Alright, let's go get the torque wrench and get that all finished up. Socket on there. Now, I have to fill it with oil and run it a little bit, make sure everything's good, but should do all right. And glad to have this done. So there you have it. Not a terribly hard project. Actually took a lot longer to clean things up and get all the grime and dirt and everything off of all the parts than it did to actually unbolt it and bolt it back on. That was actually a fairly straightforward process. But if you have a Jeep like this, it's been leaking, this is a fairly simple task to do on your own. Good thing about a Jeep, this one's got a little bit of a lift on it, larger tires, but even in stock form, you can crawl under there without even having to lift it up and do this job. Having a little bit of a lift and larger tires on there, I had a little bit more room to move around and get it done. If I had a lift, an actual shop lift, that would have been a lot easier. But all in all, fairly simple and a good solve for a fairly common problem with these Jeeps. So, if you like what you saw today, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you do subscribe, go ahead and hit that notification button so you know when I post new videos. I appreciate each and every one of you watching today. Y'all get out there and live the good life. Thanks a lot.